This bird project originally started because this nature organization needed some of these birds, real looking and the right size, for an exhibition. A bird like this is called the common goldeneye, and this here is a baby one that's just ready to jump out of the nest. And the baby goldeneyes actually jump out of the nest the next day they have hatched. This part of the exhibition about the archipelago nature in Finland is to encourage people to have nests like this for these birds at their summer cottages by the sea. So now we are going over in detail how you can make these amigurumi birds for yourself. So what you need is cotton yarn for those official sort of colors for that bird. Two of the birds are this color, black, gray and white, and then one is dark brown and white. And I have used this German yarn called limone. It's sports weight, which means that there's 125 meters per 50 grams. For those getting that in Finland, Lankamaailma sells it. But any yarn, of course, of the same weight, if you want the bird to be approximately the same size. If you use something very different, then of course the size of the bird will be different. And to make one in the same size, we'll soon look at how many stitches your gauge swatch needs to have. Or use any colors that you happen to have in a similar weight cotton. You'll soon see that I have used also colors like this. Then you need a hook that goes with it, with the yarn. I have used this here one, Clover Amour, that I normally use. It's 2.5 millimeter. Then you would of course need scissors. I also used one pin, which I don't have here. And then it's worth having two needles, one sharp and one blunt, for different uses while we sew. And then you need a little bit of filling. What I do use for anything like this here, I buy a cheap inner cushion pillow or just a bed pillow and use the insides of it. That really works really well. For the project, the bird needed to be the right size, life size. So here you can see the size, it's about 10 centimeters long. Let's first look at the bird in detail and the order how we are going to work. So this is what it looks like, and we start here at the tummy, and until here that's one piece. Then the back is done separately, and here it's been sewn together, you can see it there. Then we continue on to do the head and the wings, the feet and the beak are done separately. The wings have two pieces that are crocheted together from the outside. So let's start here. Then if you want to have the same size of a bird with the same number of stitches that I'm using, you need to make a gauge swatch and check that your gauge is the same. And make it longer than 10 centimeters or 4 inches. And I've done it from one side because most of the parts in the bird are done from one side only, so I cut the yarn on every row and use the hook that you are planning to and just crochet single crochets. And then 10 centimeters or 4 inches of this here. This gives me 27 stitches. So if you want to have the bird the same size, you need to check that in 10 centimeters you have 27 stitches, and to achieve that you may need to go down or up with your hook, but check that. If the size of your bird doesn't matter, then you don't need to worry about this. Using the white, I'm making a loose slip knot, so I'm not tightening it because that will work better, and that counts as the first stitch then, and chain altogether 12, so that's 1, 2, 9, 10, 11 and 12, and we are going to crochet around this, and in order to have it tight so that the felling doesn't come through it, I'm starting using the back bumps here. So I turn it slightly and go into the back bump or the back loop of the second stitch. It can be a bit hard to get at first, so don't worry, and make a single crochet there. And down the line, each back bump until you get to the end, So every one. I'll continue to the one before last. Here, and now we have that last one, the first one that we made, and 3 single crochets into that, just straight into it. I'll pass the yarn behind it here. And after this you can tighten it. So after your 3 stitches, pull it tight. And now, because of the way we did those back bumps, we have these tidy stitches here on the other side, and a single crochet into each of these until we are back at the other end again. This is a hard row round, so don't worry about that. Depends of course on your hook and yarn a bit as well. So I'll do the rest here, and then also at the end 3 single crochets at this end. 1, 2, and 3. And at this stage we have 25 stitches round. I'm not actually going to say the number of stitches on each row, because there are so many little things here that I don't want you to concentrate on that. Instead we concentrate on the shape. And now we crochet in the spiral, so we don't finish a row and start a new one, but continue. And continue straight to the other end. 1 single crochet in each stitch. On this here round it's already easy. And when we get there, we'll increase. And when we are at the end, we increase twice. So there are 3 stitches here. So I'll increase, I'm now nearly at the end, so I'll increase here 2 stitches in one, then the tip stitch there, no increase, and then I'll increase in the next one. So 2 there. And by the way, remember that it's easy to slow a video down if I'm going too fast, or speed it up if I'm too slow. And then you crochet right on to the other end again. So this here. I'm there now, and 2 increases there as well. So this here stitch, 2 single crochets into one, then just 1 and 2 in the next one. And from now on, the front and the back will be slightly different, so it's important now to mark the front. You can use stitch markers, but I find them too bulky in a small thing like this here. So what I'm going to do is to put a piece of yarn there. And at this stage they are the same at both ends, so I'll mark this here one. Just like that there, and tie that. Because it's very important here that your stitch marker doesn't move or go away or drop or whatever. So that's why I like to use something like this here. So that will stay there until much later. And now we'll go to the other end there. So this here starts a new round. So I'll go to the end where I haven't marked anything, and then we'll see what we do there. Here now, and now we need to increase 3 times. So this, that, and that stitch. 2 single crochets into each. The back is a different shape than the front. So these 3 now I have increased in each of them. And then back to the other end, and there I'll increase twice, so twice at the end when I get there. But I'll first crochet there. Now here I'm at the front end and increase twice, so here's the first increase and then a second increase. And now do this a second time. This is now the last round of this white bit, so you go there, increase 3 times, just the same, and after you are here you increase twice. So this row that we just finished and the next one are the same. I did that back end there so that there's one stitch without increases in between the increases, although that doesn't matter much, but you can do it that way. And now I'm back here and I have my 2 increases, and I'll do one more stitch here and then a slip stitch, and I'll cut the yarn there and with a slip stitch pull it straight through, so don't make an extra stitch. I'll show you why. And then take a needle. We'll finish this off in such a way that it's easy then to crochet after that. So you have finished it straight like that there, and you have the yarn here. So I'm finishing it off in such a way that it doesn't really show where the finishing is. So put the yarn through the next stitch, next full stitch there, like that, and then go into that stitch where we finished and go through that. So then that created like a normal stitch there, and then finish off this here yarn. Now this is a decorative item only, so we don't have to work that hard on finishing the yarn ends, but still I prefer to go first one way and then back a little. Actually I have to change my needle. I just realized I'd taken a bad one, and back there like that there, and also finish off the other piece of yarn there. And then we continue here, and my actual second bird will be dark brown, but you wouldn't see what I'm doing. So instead, everything now that is gray or black in this here bird will be pink. So take the other yarn and start in the middle of the front. So insert the hook and bring the yarn there, and chain, and then start going round, and go close to the back end of it with single crochets and no increases, and stop around there, and then we see what we do. Find 7 stitches now around this here. So if you find the very tip there and then 3 on each side, and what we're going to do is we crochet those 7 just normally, and then we turn because we need to make the tail end. It's not an actual tail. So 7 first, 1, 2, 3, and the 4th one is in the middle of it. 4, 5, 6, 7. And now turn, and no chain, and a single crochet in that first one, and second one, and third one. And now we are in the 4th, which is the middle one, and 3 single crochets into that. So it's like a bigger increase. 3 stitches into 1. And then the other 3 on the other side. here and turn again, and the same without a chain, just insert the hook in the first one and a single crochet, and 2, 3 and 4. Now we have more stitches, so after 4 you come to the middle of the ones where we just increased, and the same there again, 3 stitches into that same one. And the reason for that is that it causes the sort of a slightly pointed end for this. And then just continue and go back over the white and crochet to the other end again. And now we are nearly at the other end, and you just continue round in the spiral, and otherwise no increases, or well, we haven't had any decreases except when you get to the middle here on this here round. When you are in the middle one, there again 3 stitches in the one, so there's an increase there. So go round now once like that, and here you just take the stitches the same way we did in here. So now I went round it once and increased 3 times here at the tip, and again I'm in the front, remember your mark. And now what you do is you do one more round with just 1 stitch into every stitch, no increases anywhere. And we see that there's now 2 rounds of these pink ones, and then after the 3rd one we'll finish this here bottom bit. Here we are, and now can cut this yarn and finish this off the yarn the same way we did when we finished the white there, and finish the other yarn end as well. So now we have that there bit for the bird, and then we need to do this here, not the wings now, but this here until the neck. So that's one piece there. For that we need 10 chains, and again I do the slip knot very loose, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10. And here we also crochet both sides of it, but we go back and forth, not right round. But here also I start at the back bump, so the second one, and go to the other end like this, just as we did in the beginning, and then 3 at the end there. And here at the end 3 stitches in the end stitch, and then tighten it like that. And now back to the other end using these stitches that were formed on the other side of it. So go to the end, but don't go round. Here, and then chain 1 and turn, and now we go round this on the other side. So to the other end, and when we get there we need to increase at the end there. So every stitch, and now I'm at the end, so 3 into this here one, so that it doesn't start curving. Increase so that you do 3 in the one, and then back there again like that, And now chain 1, and from now on at the end and beginning we'll do 2 stitches in the first one so that it sort of curves a bit. That will help shape the neck once we get to it. So 2 stitches in the first one, and otherwise you do the same. So go round and 3 stitches at the tip there, and at the end, the last one again 2. There, so I increase 2 at the end, and then when starting the next one, chain 1 and turn, and again in that very first one, so that increases again when you have 2 in that one. Otherwise the same. 2 also at that end, and always 3 in one stitch at there. So now 1 there and back again. So 2 more rows exactly the same way. So altogether when you start from the middle we'll have 5 rows on each side. Here we are. That's that part done. And leave a bit of a yarn end tail so that you don't need to take an extra one for sewing around it. So something like that. Enough to sew it. I'm probably taking too much, but like that. And pull it through, and then we'll join the 2. Then we are going to join these 2 and turn this inside out. So we're going to sew from the inside. This here piece is the same both sides since we crocheted back and forth, so it doesn't matter which way you have it. And now you have the front there. So this here is the back, and that's where the neck will be. So set that over there, and it's easier if you pin it close there. You may want to pin more if you like. I don't think I will. I'll just check how it goes stitch by stitch until there. And then take, here I think it's easier to work with a blunt needle. Otherwise I'm using a sharp needle with this, all the sewing. So I have that in there now. So it's going to leave this here hole for the neck and head. So just sew from stitch by stitch like that there. It depends which way you have it now, but I'll take the stitch from the inside so it shows as little as possible. Just stitch by stitch. Right round, and I mean if the stitches don't exactly match, then skip one, but basically just sew by hand right round to the other side. And it's worth tightening it at times, so that if you have this kind of a non-stretchy yarn as I have, so you know that you tighten it like that, so then it will show as little as possible there. Here. Now it's sewn on both sides, and I finished off the yarn and then turn it like that there. And don't worry that at the moment it looks like a baby slipper or something. Here we are now, and then we continue to the neck and the head. So when we compare them, we are here now. Now the next bit takes quite a lot of shaping, because this bird that I'm making needs to be like that there, that it looks like the original real bird. And for that reason we will start at this here spot where there will just be the black and none of the white. And again I'm using the pink for the black, but I'm using white as well. So take this, and this is the middle of the back, the top, can see this here line where we started, and go to the right of that, 3 stitches to the right, and attach the yarn there. Can make a chain and then start in the same, and we'll go round now once this here, but we need decreases. So go first just 1 stitch into, well, these are not, we are at the end of stitches, but sort of at the natural spacing. And now that we are coming close to where we sewed it, we'll need to make 2 decreases there. 1, let's see, no, there. So the seam is there, so I'll decrease here, taking that and starting another one and decreasing them, and straight after another one. So I'll go to that stitch and that stitch and decrease them. That's to get it more rounded. And then a few stitches until you get in the middle. Have 3 or 4, depending a bit on the exact number of stitches you have. And then when you are in the middle, decrease there. So these 2 together in the middle. And then continue towards the other side where we had that join. And now that I have 2 stitches left here, I'll decrease, put 2 together, and then go across that join, and again take, no, both sides, 2 stitches and crochet them together. And then there's 1 more stitch here before I come to where we started. And I just realized that to show exactly how this goes, I need a different color. So now this here pink will be the black on that one. I insert the hook into these 2 stitches so I get a sort of a tidy color change, and take the new color there. I'll tighten those in a minute. And then crochet 6 in this here color here. Tighten those in the back. So 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and also with the 6th leave the stitch unfinished, so we can now take the white one here for shaping that there side of the face, and take the white and crochet right round this bit until you get to the start of the pink. 1 stitch into each, no increases or decreases. So round until there, here, and now we need to work on that there rounded bit for a while. So continue the white and chain 1 and now turn, and we need a bit higher stitches here now. The first one here is a single crochet, but for the rest of the row we'll have extended single crochets. So the way you do it, you start a single crochet, and take a yarn over, but instead of going through both, you only go through the first loop, which gives you a bit of a higher stitch extended. So again, start a single crochet or take just the yarn and through first loop and through both loops. Again, there. So like that right round except the last stitch. So now I have gone round there except the last white one, and then I'll have a single crochet in that stitch. And now we need to turn again, but twist this pink one and the white one together, like in sort of intarsia, so that there's not going to be a hole there. And now one single, the other color is trying to come here too, one single crochet here, and then to make the rounded bit, 3 extended single crochets, 1, 2 and 3, and then a single crochet. And now, so that this gets higher than the front, then you'll go across the front here using slip stitches just. So slip stitches, and don't make them too tight so that it would be hard to get the hook into them the next time. Until you have 5 left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I need one more single slip stitch. And now single crochet, 3 extended single crochets, and a single crochet. Now is a good time to weave in all the yarn ends, so you only have the 2 that you're working with, and you can also take off whatever marker you have for the front. Now there's no more question about that. And then take the black yarn or the yarn that you have in the back of the neck and make a stitch, and make first the chain and then a single crochet in the same stitch. It's harder to hold on to this now. Can't find a proper position. So 1 single crochet and a second one, and then in the 3rd and the 4th we increase, so 2 in each. This is in order to have a little bit rounded head, a bit more rounded head. So 2 there and 2 there, and then 1 and 1 in the last one. And now take the white one back again, and so long now to pull it shorter. Pull it through this one, tighten, and turn. Here I actually turn the so-called wrong way around. And then 1 single crochet and a second one and a 3rd one and a slip stitch. And here it's the only place here that, because we are doing that rounded thing, that we have to cut the yarn here and do the same on the other side separately. So just pull that through. and then loose the yarn, go to the other side and do the same. So attach the yarn here, I'll chain one here, and then 3 single crochets, and slip stitch, and again cut the yarn. For the rounded thing from both sides, I couldn't think of any other ways than doing it separately. And now you can finish off those yarn ends. Okay, and now we continue the head, and now there will be no more other colors. So make a stitch with that, and go round 1 stitch into each at first, all of this back color, and here, and continue across into the white, but for the front, so when you get to the highest point of this here rounded bit, we need longer stitches so that we even this out. So first 1 half double crochet, if I can get through there, half double crochet, and then double crochets right through the front. So that we get higher stitches here. And 1 more. So I had 5, but you might have 1 more or 1 less. When we come closer to the higher bit, then here a half double crochet again, 1, and then continue with double crochets, single crochets, sorry. And right across to the next round then. And now pull the stitch a bit longer and take your filling out. This is a good spot to fill this now before it gets too hard to get your fingers into it with the head getting smaller. So just fill it tight right to the end. Just do it by hand and push it tight with your finger right along, and also tight in here. Here. And then before we start decreasing for the head, for the top of the head, go round this twice. So just twice round, single crochets, 1 stitch into every stitch. So twice round, right? That's 2 rows there, round, 2 rounds, that there. And so when we compare these two, so now we start decreasing to get the top of the head. And as we go, add more filling into it so that it won't be too hard then at the very end. So keep filling it. I'll put some now, and then after a while a bit more again. It's hard at this stage to crochet so that it doesn't get into your crochet hook. So now once round, so that you always crochet 2 together, decrease, and then 1 without decrease. So these 2, and the round starts when this here side white is there. So these 2 together, then 1 without increase, and then decrease, and then 2 together, and 1, and so on. The next 2 together, and like this here for this round. There, and now finish it off and remember to fill it in so that always 2 together. So just round. It doesn't take that much more now to fill it, to close it. So those 2 together, and then the next 2 together, and so on. You just go on until the hole is closed in. Put some filling into it now. There. So now we have the main body done, and then the wings and the beak and the feet. And then finish this off. And then the wings. Each wing needs 2 pieces, a white one and a colored one, and we crochet them together with the dark one on top. And for the dark one you need to leave a long yarn tail to crochet together, but I didn't leave long enough because I would have wanted also to have enough now to sew it, which I don't. So you need almost a meter, about a yard, to leave for the dark one, and a little bit of yarn for the lighter one, just to sew that bit into the actual bird. I'll make the colored side of the wing in this here color, and again a loose slip knot, and that counts as 1, and we need 5 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. For here now, for such a short bit, I'm not going into the back bumps. I'm just going into the second stitch from the hook, and a single crochet, and the next one, and the next one, and again 3 at the top. So 3 here, and then I can tighten it, can tighten more later, and then a stitch in into that side of the stitch on the other side. So there is just the 3 stitches there. So we went across and back, and now chain 1 and turn, and 1 single crochet into each except 3 at the tip there. So that's the middle of those previous 3, so 3 stitches. I didn't get through it. 3 stitches there. 1, 2, and 3, and then back to the end of the row. So that was the second one, and we only need 3. Chain 1 and turn, and to shape the wing a bit, now you'll have 2 single crochets in the first one and the last one, otherwise the same. So 2 single crochets there, and otherwise you just go around it one more time, and have 3 single crochets at the top and back the other side, and 2 single crochets in the last stitch. So that's it. And now, like we were looking at there, we need a long, about a meter long, about a yard long piece of yarn in order to use this crochet together with the white one after we've done it, plus sew it into the actual bird. So that's it. I'll pull that through after cutting it. So make 2 like this, 2 in white, and the white one doesn't need to have such a long tail, just enough to sew this length into the bird. Here I have 1 wing finished, and now I'll show you how exactly I did it. So take the 2 parts. It's easier to crochet if the stitches are that way, so that this here would be the right side of the last row. And then set the colored one so that you're starting to crochet from the top. The colored side will be on top, so it's important that you crochet from the right hand side. And these on top of each other, and insert the hook. I'm getting mixed up with the white and the colored one there. So pull through and chain 1 and a single crochet in that same stitch, and then continue always through both loops of the last stitch and make a single crochet. So next one, and so on, and continue. And now we are at the stitches at the top, the middle one of the 3 we did at there. So just normally together there. But what I've done is just to chain 1 for a tiny sort of tip, and then another stitch in that same stitch at the top. So when you're finishing it off, you can sort of pull at that a little bit. And then you finish off the rest of the wing, just crocheting them together stitch by stitch. Here. And now when you're finished, then make another stitch and pull the yarn through. You should have now enough left to sew them. Sew it on the actual bird here. And then let's sew the first wing on. For something like that, I always use a sharp needle. That way you can easily go through the fibers as well. But you use whatever you like. I'll have the wing slightly slanted like this here. Here's the middle of the back where the stitches started. So I'll set it like that, a little bit on the slant. And then sew first the white using the thread that was left on it. So you simply sew it through here together with small stitches. And make sure you don't by accident catch the pink side, because, did I? No, because we will sew it separately. So sew that until the end here, and I'm finishing off the yarn, first putting it through there. And what I normally do is that, you see where it comes out, that I go sort of like a step back and then go forward with the yarn. So that sort of ties it enough so that it doesn't come out. Keep checking that you don't catch the other one. Here. And then the other side. Then, so it's slightly sort of that there is a little bit of thickness in them so that they are slightly separate, because that way the wings will stay stiff and, you know, stay in that position instead of flopping downwards. So just like that, stitch by stitch. Did I pull out there? There, so just sew until then, and then finish off the yarn. Here, that there, and then take the other one, and no, the wrong way around, and sew it there so that it's symmetrical to the other one. So now it's starting to look a bit more like a bird with the wings, and then we need the feet. So this is a waterfowl, and it has feet like that there, and because the shape is that it's flying, so that's why the feet have been attached like that there. For the feet I'm using the same color as for the top of the wing, and here again you need to leave some yarn now at the very start. So how much would that be? Twice the length of my hand approximately. That's probably too much, but anyway. And make a slip knot there. And now this here yarn that's closest to me is the one that's being cut. And what we do is we'll first make 5 stitches of I-cord. I learned recently that this method is also called the long tail cast on for crochet. And what you do is you pass the hook in between these two and under the yarn closer to you. So you take a yarn over that way and then create a stitch, a single crochet. Again under here and another one. That was 2, 3, 4, 5, and we need 6. So that's 6. And then we make that there, and then chain 3, and then take a yarn over and insert the hook in the last stitch of the I-cord and make a double crochet, and then 2 more double crochets. 2 more. So now we have the chain and 3 double crochets, and then chain 3, and to create this shape with these here bits sticking out, we are using tiny picots. So first turn and then go into the second stitch from the hook and make a slip stitch. So it's just pull straight through like that, and then a double crochet in that same stitch at the start of the row, then another double crochet and a chain 2, and now we need to make this chain 2 into picot. And in a picot like this I like to take these 2 loops at the base of the chain and pull through them and the stitch to create the picot, and then 2 more double crochets end of this here, if I get it through, and here again chain 2 and a picot. And now, so that it stays that shape, in finishing I'm not going to make another stitch, I'll just pull through straight. So cut the yarn and pull through and then finish that off. But don't finish this one off, and we're using that to sew the foot on, and now make another one like it. Then put the yarn into a needle, and what I'll do first is that I pass the yarn inside this here foot bit, leg bit, whatever you call it, stem, to the start of it, like that there. And then take the bird and sew it on. So this is the front head, and I'll sew it so that it sort of comes out a little bit behind it, and sew it around where the white is. So just a few stitches. Like that. Now it's there. And then the other one the same, and finish this off. And now it has 2 feet. And then what remains is the beak and the eyes. So let's do the beak first. For the beak, I'm using the same way as what we did to start the feet. So you need a bit of a yarn and enough then to sew it. So let's say here, and a stitch, slip stitch. I have this much yarn there, and then make 7 of those I-cord stitches, so like that, and through. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and cut the yarn, leaving a little bit, not much, but a little bit of a tail, and pull through. So now we have this. Put the needle into one of those. What we need to do is to fold this into 2, like that. It's hard to see, but I folded it into 2, and then I'll pass the yarn towards where it folds there, and then make a couple of stitches there. And why that is so that the beak stays sharp at the end. Just through there and back. And then, so that end at the moment is open, but this has been closed a bit, and now try to get the yarn through there to finish it off. Just put it a very short distance there and cut it, and then take the other tail and and then take the bird and needles for the other yarn, and it's now this way that and that bit are slightly open there. So find the bottom bit of the colored part of the head in the front and set it there. Now this is so fiddly and so tiny that I can't do it on the video, but you sew it on there. I have sewn it now, and then you can pass the yarn through the head and pull it out from the other end and then cut it. So now it has a beak and feet and wings and everything except the eyes. So then take a color that is clearly different from that so you can see the eye. I'm going to get the dark brown I have been using. And choose where you are going to have the eye. I mean, birds' eyes are quite far, not too close to the beak, so I'll have it there. I'll pass the yarn from quite far away, so there'll be a yarn tail and then come out that there. And then pull it so that the yarn just about that there goes in. And then just sew like a lump here, going around. My eye is maybe a bit too big, I don't know. And then there's the same the other side. Here, and then pass the yarn for a bit further away there. And that's it. Now we have done it. And if your bird is the kind of yarn that can take a steam ironing, then you can steam a bit the wings, the legs and the beak. Otherwise I wouldn't do it. But if your yarn is not something like full cotton or something, especially if there's acrylic, then don't do that. But if you steam iron, then they do get, like, especially the legs get sort of stiffer. So you can either make authentic looking birds or imaginary ones. Whichever, enjoy making them.